over in Washington, D.C. with the Voice of America Jazz Hour. Jazz is made of many elements which came to this country from other cultures as people of other countries came to America. Jazz is many different ways of performing many different musics. Most recently, modern, rock, folk music, and electronic music. We see or hear this new fusion in the music of the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, Chick Corea and Return to Forever, the Herbie Hancock Group, and the group led by Michał Urbaniak of Poland. Michał Urbaniak, Poland. Michał Urbaniak, Poland. Michał Urbaniak, Poland.
Xantone, I've got a little video.
Yeah.
Of you playing on, which this is absolutely amazing, on 2 keyboards and singing at the same time. Would you mind if I play it for a second at least?
Yeah, sure. Go for it, please.
So, because
One, two, three, come on now. Woo, 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 woo. I know anything's possible, mama. People say that I'm crazy to believe. Some may find it incredible. Yeah, it's true, cause it keeps happening to me. That's what I told that girl, but she simply won't listen. Our blessings will all unfurl if we try to both let go. Come on now, that one won't listen, cause she tried to love and only got burnt up. That one won't listen, cause she's tired of loving now. Oh, oh, yeah. Baby, when I look at you, I get this warm feeling inside. There's something about the things you do that keep me satisfied. I wouldn't lie to you, baby, yeah. It's mainly a physical thing. This feeling that I got for you, baby, it makes me wanna sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm gonna feel for you. I think I love you. I feel for you, yeah. I think I love you too time.
wow. Okay. I think that needs no further Xantone interaction. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I've been watching it over and over today.
Stan, I didn't have a Zoom during whole performance. I don't know why, but that's a technical question. We're gonna solve it later. But let's remember about this. All right, great.
As you've seen it, you showed me that link, and well, first of all, absolutely admire the whole song, and thank you so much for singing this over. I've seen it. So I think without further ado, I would just start with the first question: how the journey started.
Okay, so firstly, everybody, thank you for coming here today and sharing your time. I really appreciate it. My journey started in Lagos, Nigeria. Can everyone hear me okay? I hope that's all right. My journey started in Lagos, Nigeria, and it started in the church in Lagos, Nigeria. The church that I went to, the type of church I went to, was one which was very musical and very, like, active church. It wasn't a very, calm church. So as a child, I was interested in the coolest people in the church because that's what children are interested in, the coolest people. And the coolest people for me were the people who played percussion in the church. So that's where my thing began. So playing percussion, obviously in Nigeria and Africa as a continent, rhythm is a very important part in everything in our lives. So, developing a sense of rhythm, developing, not because I was trying to be a musician, but just by hearing it, that was where everything started for me. And then when I came to the UK when I was 9, I stopped music. I didn't do anything to do with music because I wasn't thinking of myself as a musician anyway. So it wasn't until I was about 18 years old is when I started doing music again and thinking I would like to do something with this. And it started with singing first. And then after a period of time of singing and being able to write lyrics and write melodies, but not knowing any kind of music theory or knowing how chords are or harmony or anything, I wanted to be in a position where I could produce my own music, I could write my own music, and write the harmony and the chords that would go with the melody and lyrics that I was creating. Because I wanted to be, I wanted to have freedom, basically. I wanted to be able to express myself fully. So that was the beginning of my journey.
Okay.
So you came to UK when you were 9 years old, and did you then, after learning, you got to into the community, or as a musician, where then you started to play, to first discover yourself as a musician?
Yeah, so when around 18, I decided that I wanted to pursue music, to follow music. The beginning was to do, like, to be in a boy band. That was the beginning for me. So it was like to be in a harmony group, like a Boys to Men or a Jodeci, these kind of boy band things. And I did two of those boy band things, and they fell apart. You be together, and then the next minute, nobody wants to sing with anybody anymore. But the thing that experience taught me was singing with other people. It taught me harmonizing. Even if I didn't, I knew it instinctively how to do a third above and a third below. But even if I didn't understand what it was, I couldn't say it and describe it to you what I was doing. I knew what to do. So it was good for ear training in that sense. Um, and that's how I started. And then after two of these groups happening and not happening, I decided that I was going to be a solo artist and that I was going to get a loan. I got a bank loan. I'm not suggesting that anybody should go and get a bank loan, but
Maybe not now.
I went to get a bank loan and I bought some studio equipment and I didn't know anything. As a friend of mine said to me, you should get this sampler, and I was like, "What's a sampler?" And then I was like, "Okay, so you should get this sampler, you should get this," and I bought this stuff, and that's how I started. And at that point, I had not lots of equipment, but I had a few things. And if you said to me, "Could you play a C minor chord on a keyboard?" I wouldn't have a clue. So that's how I started. And I remember one day I was really bored. I was like just in my flat. I was just in my place and I was like, nah, man, I don't know. I just want to go and do something. And I went down to Tower Records in central London. I just got on the bus, went to Tower Records, and they had a really great jazz department, the best jazz department in London at that time, with all these CDs, Japanese imports, etc., etc. and a friend of mine had introduced me to Herbie Hancock and to the Headhunters, that kind of sound. And I saw this album by Herbie Hancock called Thrust. I just saw the cover of it and I thought, oh, that looks like a really cool cover. Simple as that. I wanted to buy myself
If
something.
it sells.
Yeah, exactly. I bought Thrust and I came back home. And this is long pre-internet, so there's no way to hear it beforehand or have an idea. And I put this thing in the CD player, played it, and the first song came on. It was Palm Grease. It was funky. I was very much into R&B then, so I was like, okay, it's cool. And then this song called Butterfly came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which kind of has this kind of R&B-ish kind of thing. And immediately I thought, ooh, I like this tune. There was something about the tune. I thought, I like this tune. And that was the thing that hooked me. So I then started listening to this CD over and over. And then I got into this idea that I wanted to start learning how to improvise and do things. So I just started. I just started. I would ask people. There was a friend of mine who was a great pianist, and he would tell me some stuff, and it was very strange. Like I'm learning guitar at the moment, and I'm getting to grips with guitar. It's making more sense. But like learning guitar again after all these years of being a musician, it's funny going back to the place where it just doesn't make sense, and you're like, what is going on? Like, why is this? Why is this thing called a C-7, and why is this thing called a G7? I don't understand. And you start again, and I think for me anyway, it's a really good thing to challenge your brain to learn something new all the time, and that's how I started. I just started bit by bit, and it took time.
Was that a huge loan? How much?
No, so my loan was £5,000, which back then was decent. My friend got 10,000, and I said, no, man, I'm not
Still
going.
paying it off.
Like no. So I got like a £5,000 loan, and I got a sampler. I got a Kawai K1. I remember it. I got a Korg DS8. And an old Mac, because everyone said you've got to go for Mac, you can't go PC. So I got an old Mac, and that's how I started. Yeah.
Brilliant. And do you still remember the first song you made? Like, do you still keep it somewhere?
Now I do not. But funny enough, I remember, like, this was the funny thing, was like I'd find my beginnings, especially with playing piano, was like I'd find a note and I'd say, okay, and then I'll try and find a second note, something, and I'll say, okay, well, I like the sound of that, and then I'll be like, okay, I need to find some, and I'll be like, oh, don't know, no, and then I'll find one, and then I'll find another one. So I remember one time, I just found, I think, was it this shape, no, hold on, there's G minor, right, those three chords, and I remember thinking, ooh, I like that, doing it wrong again. That was those three chords, and I remember thinking, "Wow, you can call me daddy when I'm on the phone. On the phone, you can call me something when we're all alone. All alone." It was that. Something like that was how. Oh dear, that's how I started. Yeah, it started like that.
Amazing. There's a hope for me, at least, Maybe I can do it free.
That's chords that I learned. I learned something very, very basic and little things. But even if it was something which I love, even till today, it's beautiful, is being able to have a chord which is static. It just stays where it is, but the bass moves around it, or other things move around it. So if I go, for example, like you'll get this in pop a lot. So if I, this kind of thing this is always staying the same, but you're moving around. And I think that's how I probably started. Was like I started with a static chord and then try and move the bass around, and that would give a different emotion each time. So, yeah.
So again, sorry. So again, when did you start? How old were you when you started? Like learning how to play the piano. Was you had this musical vibe back, in this church, whatever, right? But
late. I was late. I started I think 24 was
wow. You're an amazing example, right? It doesn't really matter
So it was
Yeah.
Wow,
was
this is
few
an
years
amazing
ago.
story, really. Wow. I'm really impressed.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, facts. I just think the thing about it is, I think the biggest block that everybody has or people can have is if how long will it take for me to get good? So
Yeah.
if you start later, you think, oh well, I'm already this old, and by the time I get good, what's the point? I'll be like 55, 60, 80, 90, whatever, and you don't start. And when I was that age, I didn't think of that. I just thought, just start. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Can I say something
yes.
about you? Sorry. I think the greatest skill of a musician is the listening. And Zan was for many years, he was a DJ for many years before becoming a musician. So you didn't mention this about you, but I think it's an important part of your formation, the kind of music you were playing.
Yeah.
You knew so much music, you heard so much music. So all of that was already inside you when you started playing an instrument. You had all this ear training already there. You had all these taste for chords and jazz ear, and you only had to express that through the instrument. So I
This
just
is
want to add
also
that.
true. I mean, like the DJing thing was something I was doing actually at this about maybe a bit later than when I actually started playing, let's say, jazz, funk, things of that nature. But I think what you just said there, Manu, is true that like all the music that any of us have heard is inside of us basically, but the trick is to find a way to be able to connect with it, because like all the memories that we've seen, they're stored inside of us somewhere. All the sounds we've heard, they're stored inside of us somewhere. So like if I go to people who are non-musical, so to speak, people who don't consider themselves musical, but I go ba ba da ba ba ba, everybody knows what to do next, because everyone has heard this before, and we all have this musical language inside us. So yeah, I think you're right that it's
Yeah,
important.
but of course, I agree totally with that. But it's a question of practice too, right? Because only by watching Ronaldo, you can become a great soccer player, right? You know what I mean? But that's really amazing. Your story is amazing.
Well,
Very
thanks.
impressive.
But the thing is, the one of the things I also find interesting is that here we are, and I'm sitting here, and we're sharing information together and ideas and stories, and when I first started on this thing of where the hell is C on the keyboard, I never had a vision that I'd be here speaking with you and sharing ideas now. So one of the things that I think is really important for everybody to know is that I think it's important just to start your journey, because you never know where your journey is going to end. You never know where it's going to take you. So like sometimes it can stop you from starting. It's like, oh, well, I want to see exactly where it's going to end, or I want to know how long it's going to take. And I think it's important just to start, and just keep going, because that's all I did. I never had any plans to become any great musician or anything. Yeah, my drive and impulse right from the beginning was always, I want to make music that makes people feel something. That's all I really wanted to do. I didn't care about like I didn't even want to, like when I picked up the piano to start playing it, it was purely for songwriting. I didn't think, oh, I want to be able to play solo piano, I want to be able to improvise, and none of that. I just thought I want to be able to write songs. And generally when I hear songs, I hear that there's lyrics and melody, but I also hear there's this other stuff around it. And I want to be able to do that as well. It was as simple as that. It was a songwriting tool. So yeah, I think it's important to start.
Amazing.
And after you started, because I think that's amazing, and I think very inspirational for many people, which just have exactly the same question, what I should do and so on. And his journey is absolutely beautiful, and so much can happen. And it actually happened in your case, because then you played, if I've got some notes here, so that's why I'm looking now,
good.
Brazil, Denmark, Korea, Italy, Switzerland, all around the world. And so from there, what I want to do to, I just gonna play around the world. I really want to know the bridge.
I want to jump from that. That's a really good question. There is somebody who actually, three of us on this call know, and maybe more of you guys actually know. Michael definitely knows Troy Miller.
Yeah.
Matt, my friend, and someone who's taught me a lot actually also knows Troy Miller, and I know Troy Miller. And Troy Miller is a great musical force. He's a drummer, he's a producer, he writes, he does many things.
He's
Um,
conductor as well.
I-
Conductor. Orchestra.
exactly, conductor,
Yes,
all these things. So one of the things that, like, I remember when I first met Troy, he was living in this very small flat with his wife and his first daughter. And he was like, he was doing all right, just the beginning to get somewhere. And he, some over my period of time of knowing Troy, I used to ask him this question at the beginning. I used to say, "Man, how do you do that Tarzan trick?" I used to call it the Tarzan trick. And he said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I said, "The Tarzan trick, like you're doing this one gig or something here, and then somehow you manage to swing and grab another something." Because I had come from the thinking that society generally gives you that you need to have everything secure. Everything needs to be predetermined. You know what's happening. But when you enter our world as musicians, you are in a situation where there's a lot of uncertainty. And you either can deal with that and find a way to look at that thing through the right lens, or you don't. So I can't remember exactly what advice Troy gave me about that. But I think this, for my story, it has been a mixture of help from other people, definitely. So, for example, I started working with Amy Winehouse. Now, I can say it categorically now. I did not get the job playing keyboards and doing backing vocals with Amy Winehouse because I was the most amazing keyboard player or the most amazing singer. That was not the reason I got this. It was because I had my talent and I'd done my work, but there was another keyboard player who was playing with her beforehand called Sam Best, a really great keyboard player, and he was doing the last year of his degree. And he said, "Man, it's the final year. There's a lot going on. And there's this artist called Amy Winehouse. This is before Amy blew up. It was between the first and the second album. There's this artist called Amy Winehouse that I'm playing with. Do you know her?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I've heard of her." And he said, "Well, would you like to do the gig?" And I was like, "Sure, sounds cool. And that was all it was. So it wasn't. So how did I get that gig? Because someone else helped me out. Why did that someone else help me out? Because even though I was 15 years older than Sam and the people that he played with, his generation, I would still go sometimes and go and play with them. I'd go to their rehearsals sometimes and just go and play. So as a result of me being out there or being in contact with them, I came to his mind. So I think the point I'm making here is that connecting with other people is an important thing, and it's one of the things that has helped me move forward. Mike, you're going to say something.
Yeah. Going back to Troy, I know the other story. How did we meet? Oh, it's also because of Troy.
Boy.
There was a point where we played. We had a band, Urbanator, and at that time we played quite difficult of my writing. Like difficult songs harmonically and so on. And then I asked the guys, Femi Temor, and Troy, listen, we might be looking for a keyboard player because Don is busy and so on Blackman at that time. And Troy said, wait a minute, let me think about this. I think I know about the guy, but there was a but. I say, that but is very interesting to me because if there's a but, it means there's something special.
Yeah.
So I got curious. Say, okay, let's give it a shot. And then we met, and we're playing until today.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I mean, like, I didn't think, oh, in fact, to be honest, Mike, before that, because I was still growing my perspective, I didn't know of your work. And then when I heard your work, I was like, oh my God, because there's a lot of it. Number one, I don't know, like 60 albums. There's a lot of albums. And when I look at the how challenging the
Some
work
of it.
has been with Mike, I have to be honest, man, there have been some gigs I've done with Mike, particularly in the beginning, that my butt got burnt, my butt got roasted, because this stuff was just like I'm not messing around. You sit on stage, and the other guys are just like they look at you and they're like, "Okay, strap yourself in," and off we go. And yeah, I've been roasted on some of these things, man. Just straight roasted.
I
And
feel you.
you either grow from that or you die from that, you know? I mean, like from Mike, some of the things which I learned was some of the harmony, like, you know, the melody lines are crazy. There's a tune called Roxana, which Mike wrote, and in all the times I played it with the band, we've come close to nailing it. We've never quite nailed it perfectly because it's that difficult. But I learned harmony, and after a period of time of studying Mike's music, you start getting a sense of someone's personality and how their brain thinks when they write. So you can't predict everything because he does lots of different things, but you start seeing the shape of, okay, the melody line is going down by a semitone each time, but the harmony is changing underneath it. So this is one of the things that Mike likes and gravitates towards. So I internalize that into some of my own writing. When I was doing the stuff with Amy, the thing which was interesting was that when I went in, every chord had to be sharp 11, minor 9, everything had to have an extension. I went into the Amy stuff and it was like, oh, we're just playing triads, but there's nothing wrong with that. But it was like, oh, it's the way that the triads lead into each other harmonically. That's what makes it interesting. So then I internalized that into my writing as well, that, okay, a purer sound is equally as valid as a very rich harmonic sound as well. And the combination of both is what you're hopefully looking for. So my thing, sorry, to answer your question, has been that to go from where I was at the beginning to where I am now has just been really simple. Like, these are my 2 feet. This one does this, then this one does this, then this one. It's been simply that. I have walked one step at a time. I have connected with other people. And that's been it. And I've done the work. It's important to do the work. You know, I've done the work. I've taken chances. I've come out of my comfort zone. That's been very important. Coming out of your comfort zone and trying different things. I have hopefully done my best to shut my mouth sometimes and listen to what people are teaching me and actually take in the information. Like my friend Manu, who's here, there are things which sometimes she'll say to me, and at the time I will completely disagree with her. And then about 3 years later, I'll think, oh, I understand now. You know, so like that stuff happens. Well, I'll be like, nah, I don't agree with that. That's not right. And then years later, you go, right, I have grown enough as a human being to understand what it was that this person was sharing with me. So I think people, the work, and taking chances. Those are the 3 things for me.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you realize that by doing that, you also influenced a lot of people, including me?
No.
If you think about it. That's how it works when you're open-minded. I say I'm very open-minded, as you got to know me.
Yeah.
And, you know, whenever I hear something, either something I wouldn't do,
Yeah.
or something people would call wrong,
Yeah.
or then I would be interested, you know, to what it is and how to get out of this. Like Miles Davis, you know, my life is totally Miles. You know, like I've been listening to him 24 hours a day with headphones whenever I could, and reading anything. And when he said, you know, there's no wrong notes, don't fear the wrong notes because there are non-wrong notes, but the way to get out of them is the challenge we're having as improvisers and jazz musicians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this made me the way I was, am, and we are together.
Yeah.
Today, and
As you have this conversation, I wanted to see, because like you clearly influence each other. When you said you had to strap yourself just before the gig with Michał,
Yeah.
I just can see that absolutely. So what are the most like crazy memories from working together?
Well, I mean, like Michał is old school. Mihal is old school. So the old school guys might be like, you might be like, oh, what's the set list gonna be? Or for example, Mike would send us before. I remember this at the beginning, and it would scare the poo out of me. Mike would send us maybe 30, 40 songs of his songs, and everyone would like all the guys in the UK would be like, so what's the set list gonna be? And then I'd be like, I don't know what the set list is gonna be. I don't know, just learn all of them, you know? So you just have to sit there and try and make sense of this. And then on the gig, it'll be like, Mike, what's the set list gonna be? It's like, well, maybe at sound check we'll work out, okay, these are the songs that we're actually gonna be doing tonight. And you just have to be prepared. Now, in the middle of that, aside from that, when I say old school, actually, I guess what I should really say is Mike is a super musical person, because I'll segue very quickly that there is something which, again, to jump to Manu, we've just watched recently, which is something with Victor Wooten, and he's talking about music as a language. And for me, I really believe in this, and I'm developing myself in this direction as a person. So what that means is that if music is a language, in the same way that we're having a discussion now, and we can be talking about one topic, we can decide just like that to switch to another topic like this. Now, Mike would do that, where it'd be like music is a language, so we'd be playing a tune and going this direction, and halfway through he might be like, nah, we're going to this one. And he'd be like, okay, we need to have this discussion now. You know, this is what we're talking about. So some of those things are things which toughen you up as a musician. They make you more, they toughen you up, but they also make you more flexible at the same time. They make you like, you know, harder, but also softer, that you can go through things and adapt. So I remember some moments like that, and moments where, like, you know, in improvising music, you're playing, and then the band leader, Michael in this case, would turn to you and be like, okay, you're solo. He'd be like, whoa, I'm not ready. It was like, what are you going to do? You got to go. So, or everybody gets off the stage and one person takes a solo.
So
And
they did this on purpose. They knew you knew, and they just gonna like, okay, this guy's going to play solo.
it is. Well, no, not necessarily on purpose, you know, it is. And the thing about that is that fear can affect you in two ways, I guess. Fear can make you either shrink, or it can really make you go forward, like really like give it everything you've got, you know? And there have been moments where it's definitely made me shrink, no doubt. I'll put my hands up. And there have been other moments, thankfully, more recently, I think I'm getting better, where it makes you think, okay, it's unknown. You're going into a dark room and you're gonna like just try and create something, but there's something exciting and there's something fresh about that. And on top of that, if you do look at it that all notes are valid, then the question is, if you play a note that you didn't expect, the job, from my point of view, is not to judge the note immediately. That's the thing that like the fear wants to make you do, is to judge it immediately, like, oh, it's a wrong note, quickly go back to a right note. And actually, I think the trick, if you can do it, is to stop for a second before you react, and see what possibilities are available from that option that's happened, that thing that's happened. So that's how I look at mistakes. I just look at a mistake as being an event that has happened that you didn't plan. It doesn't mean that the event is wrong. It just means that the event was not planned. So it's up to you to see your value in the event. Oh, it's a horrible thing. Oh, it's a good thing. It's up to you how you see it. But it's just an unplanned event, and you can make something from it.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely
can
agree.
add just few things why certain things you mentioned and are into my musical life, like they uh, formalized, and they're sure, you know, I don't like 100% rehearsed things and predictable playing. So that's why I feel audience. When we play something, for example, why do I set one or two, three songs, not whole set? Because we don't know how the concert will go. And suddenly I feel that there's not enough connection with audience. We are just playing, we are not creating. So I turn and say stop, and I play a long note on a violin. I wait for some kind of inspiration, and it always comes. Somehow, when somebody does something, I say, let's go there. And in the band, before, I mean, when I had the band for a few years, like the same people for 5 years, it was like this: if you don't know what to play, don't play. If nobody knows what to play at the moment, stop. Silence is golden. And if you feel like playing something
Yeah.
else than we are playing,
Yeah.
start it. We will follow.
Yeah.
This makes it whole adventure. This makes this freedom. I think this makes us sort of jazz musicians or free people musically and creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just fair to ask Michał if there were moments when you really wanted to try out Xantone, like you put him in a bit of a trouble during the gig. Do you remember any of those?
Yeah, of course I do, but I didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted everybody to get used to it. That there is a certain time I feel that's what's needed. And regardless if you would play a Rachmaninoff concerto or sort of, rinky dinky or whatever, this is a moment of performance. And we are all on some kind of a spot, but we're living with music 24 hours a day, and music is our life. So there is some music in everybody at that moment as well. So let's hear it. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, by trouble, I just sort of course, there is a moment for all the improvisation, and Michał is absolutely amazing in it. That's why I would like to, you worked with Michael, full improv. I've seen the videos from the stage and all that. And then you worked with Amy. The differences during the gig and maybe during the regular day of work?
Well, okay, what are the differences? I think, yeah, there's a massive difference in the sense of the cultural difference that you have in a pop gig, which Amy was one of the most free jazz, not free jazz, but free jazz related pop gigs, if you want to call it that, that you could have. But in the culture that comes with that, there is the label, there is the the booking agent, there's this, there's that, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that is there which is not related to the music. It's related to the commerce and the business around the music. And on top of that, I think there is also, because of that, there is a whole bunch of energy that comes with that and the thinking that comes with that between everybody. So that has an impact. But when I play, and that's not to say that's bad, it just is what it is. But when I played with Mike, there was none of that stuff. It was just about, we just want to go and play the music. So it was very much about, it was about expectation, because you don't know what tonight is going to sound like. Tonight sounds like tonight. Tomorrow sounds like tomorrow. Yesterday sounds like yesterday. And you know that if at my best, I can speak for myself. At my best, what I've done is I've done the work beforehand, before I've even arrived in Poland. I've sat down with the tunes and I've done my best to really internalize the tunes, internalize them even more than memorize them. And when I turn up, what I am ready to do is to let go of my ego, to be willing to take risks, and to connect with the other people on stage. And that is my focus when I'm going to do that. When I'm going to do, and actually that's the other thing, there's a great amount of freedom. So it's like you can kick off something and other people will hear it, just like Mike said, and will react to each other. If you go and do a gig like an Amy Winehouse gig or an Emily Sandé gig or something like that, there are set things you're supposed to do. So the song starts at this point, you do 2 verses, you do a bridge, and you do the chorus, and then you're out. And there's a format to it. There's just, it's a different animal, basically, So it's an animal which has got a lot more structure to it, and it's a different experience. It's a different thing. you know, and there isn't as much improvising. You know, there are particular parts you're supposed to play, and that's what it is. So it's cool. It's also valid.
I think we've got a question from Michał Wróblewski.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil. Michał, I don't think we can hear you properly.
Microphone.
Is it better now? I probably had
Absolutely,
my
much better.
yeah. So hey, Xan, it's nice to see you.
Good to see you.
I wanted to ask you one thing. One day I talked to Femi, Temo, the guitarist, right? For those who don't know, I talked about the gig with Amy Winehouse too.
Yeah.
And the thing that that really made me think, because he said that that he would be off the gig because he wouldn't like the fake thing about the Amy Winehouse gig, which meant there was no connection to the audience, what he said. And what's your view on that? I mean, he said that they would play, when he would play with her, they would play stadiums, like huge halls, you know. Probably that's part of your experience too. But maybe you guys were even together in a band, probably.
No, we weren't.
But
yeah, go on.
Yeah, but but that's really what got my attention, and what I'd like you to elaborate on. Is like, is it really there's a moment I played several like pop gigs, or you know, there's a moment that you really don't feel, you feel like you're just, you know, in the office. You're not really doing music, you're just in the office playing the chorus, verse, right? And so on. And when you play like 30 gigs, let's say in 2 months or something, when it's like really intense, then you feel like, you know, Femi told me he would be like into his own thing. You know, at a certain moment, he would be like into his own thing, playing little clubs, little, you know, jazz clubs or something, doing his thing, saying what he want to say, maybe for a few people, or, you know, for I don't know, 60 people or 100 people, but still doing, you know. I just like you to relate, because it's also about my future and the way, you know, it's important. I feel it's important for me.
You don't know this gentleman. He's a fantastic pianist and keyboard player. Great man. I'm really glad you're here. So I think what you just said, one of the things which everybody who does those gigs, not everybody, a number of people I've spoken to who've done those kind of gigs, like pop gigs and doing touring like that, one of the things that people will often say is that when they finish doing the gigs, their chops are not as good. Their technique is not as good, because they are playing the same set thing over and over again. So if I do, what is it? Damn, I can't remember the lyric of. It's one of Amy's songs. Okay. Ba 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 ba. Now that is basically what I'm doing all the way through. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. E flat major, F minor, G minor. Right, I've added something extra there, you know, but like maybe I'll really do more like. And if you do that all the time and you're not stretching, you're not doing things, you're not doing Michael Oberniak's music, and that's messing you up, you can get very rusty, as we would say in English, you know, like your chops aren't there. So that's one of the things that is a challenge with it. And as you say, I wasn't in the band with Femi, because Femi was the musical director with Amy previously, prior to the stuff that happened with Back to Black, which was the second album, and then everything went a bit nuts. And I would say that with Amy's thing, actually, that's another point to add in, is by the time I got to Amy's thing, I think in all the time I worked with Amy, I saw Amy at rehearsal maybe a couple of times, 2 times. So that was something for me as an artist that I was slightly confused by, because take, for example, if I go and do something with Mike, or if I do something with my band, I am always there at the rehearsal because I'm the leader of the band, and it's my music. So I'm really, really like keen to like make sure that like, not even to like control people and say you must do this, but even like in the rehearsal to go, oh, how about if we substitute this chord here, or we change this rhythm here, and do things. And I found that slightly interesting, curious. So that was something which was interesting. And then when we would go and do the gigs, the life of the gigging musician, as many of us will know, is that maybe you're playing on stage for an hour and a half, but you're traveling for 12. Or, you know, it's like, you know, you're doing all this other stuff around the music, but the actual part which you're there for, you're doing for like this little small period of time. So I would say that for me, it was important that I kept my artistry going, just as Femi did, that you have your own way of expressing your music, which is different from the other person's, from Amy's or whichever artist you're doing. I would also say that like there was, for me anyway, a feeling of, yeah, you are doing, okay, this show, then that show, then this show. It's not the same as like the world that you and I, Mike, all these guys, we come from. The world of taking chances with this thing, and like, you know, like every day doing something completely fresh with it. There were some chances to do some things in Amy stuff, but it's still within the pop framework. It's still within the pop framework. So for me, I didn't have a horrible experience with it. I don't know what kind of experience Femi had. I know that there were some challenges, but I would say, yeah, actually, speaking honestly, really honestly, musically, I can't remember coming off the stage with Amy's thing and being like, wow, I was really excited by what we just did just now. I had moments where I was like, that was really good, and we played everything right, and that was a good show, etc. But like, wow, this person did this thing, and it was like, woo, I don't know what happened there, you know, that kind of thing. I don't remember having that. Whereas maybe playing with Mike, and not even maybe, definitely playing with Mike, doing my own shows, doing your stuff, doing Manu stuff, I've definitely had moments where it's been like, wow, that was a moment, you know, that's something to remember. So I don't know, the other thing I'd add as well is that not all musicians are made equal. So some musicians don't want to take chances and want to do something where I just play my part and I play it right, and that's all it is, and that's a perfect job for someone who wants to do that. So you just have to choose what's right for you, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think it comes to the time when anyone can open mic, and guys, if you want to add questions, please do. I want to go back to the very beginning of the conversation because I wanted to ask that question at that point, didn't want to interrupt. You said that's going to be probably completely off the subject, but you said you were going for the two boys bands, so you've learned how to dance then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had to have our moves. I mean, like, you know, one person had a red jacket, the other had a green, the other one had a blue, you know, we had it together, man, you know.
Right. So you still have some moves in you when you're playing? Did you
like American flag?
You know. Say that again, Mike.
American flag?
Yeah, no, yeah, something like that. God, with the recent president we've had recently, I don't think so. But anyway, you never know.
Brilliant. I've got a question from audience which was posted here. It's fairly long, so I will try to read it, hopefully without making any mistakes. But it seems that, so I'm just
mistakes are good.
As you mentioned, that's right. So it seems as popular music is pushing out a lot of different genres away from musical musicianship. and the raw sound of instruments with the use of synthesizers and music software. So growing up in 70s, I loved the sound of raw 3-4 person bands. Is that type of music dead today?
No.
Maybe not in jazz, but in rock and pop and R&B. How do you think?
So this is
Come back?
because Manu and I were talking about this morning, and I think the illusion from my point of view, and Mike is going to say what he's got because he's been around way longer than me and has more knowledge. But my feeling about it is that the illusion that we are sold is that there is only one there's only one music industry, that there is a music industry. My feeling is that there is no such thing as a music industry. There is like this narrow thing that everyone is shown, and you go, oh, you have to be a pop star, and that's the only way to make a living in music. However, I believe and I know there are many other ways to make a living in music. So if, for example, you find that like the stuff you're hearing on the radio is not the thing that is working for you, the question I think you should be asking yourself is, whatever kind of music that you want to make yourself, how can this be of value to other people? You know, first, it must be of value to you. I believe this. So like it makes sense that you're making music that's authentic to you. But if you want your music to be if you want people to pay money for your music, it has to be of value to them. It's a very simple logic. They like what you do, they pay you for it. They don't like what you do, they don't pay you for it. And for example, for myself right now, the way I'm going forward is I have taken a holiday from the idea of me being an artist, as in like I'm someone who's releasing stuff. I've taken a holiday from that at this point. I am in a place where right now I'm interested in being a composer and composing music for film, TV, advertising, gaming, this area. Now, the reason why I've gone in that direction is because in that field, you can have lots and lots of all types of music is possible. All types of music is allowed, basically. You can be as creative as you want. I came across an advert the other day which had something which wasn't exactly free jazz, but it was definitely straight ahead acoustic jazz and modern jazz, you know? So not necessarily very let's say functional harmony, stuff which is very easy to understand. It's stuff which is quite dense, and this was being used on an advert. So my answer to that question is music never dies. Number one, there's always people in the world that there's always a tribe. There's your tribe who like what you're into, and your job is to find your tribe. Because if you can find your tribe, they'll be into your music. They'll want to support you, God willing. They should do. They'll want to support you, and then you can do what you authentically want to do. The challenge is finding the tribe.
And I think in digital era now, when everyone is connected, is probably, I know it was last year was absolutely crazy, and a lot of people couldn't go and gig and go to the concerts and all that. But are you finding that we are discovering a new space or new way of bringing music to people, or what is your feeling about it?
Mike, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I find finding your tribe, like you mentioned, actually is not so difficult, because from what I observed from most of my life, even if people are playing strange music, very difficult, if they are truthful, you feel it. Then they find their tribe, because there is a connection between the truth or something which is imagined, or somebody thought, okay, I'm gonna change, and I'm gonna do this kind of music, and this will be more people interested. It doesn't work. Might work once, not for a long time. For a long time, you got to be yourself, and people feel it, and you got your tribe. Basically, that's a shortcut to what I'm saying.
And I'd add to that. I mean, like it's really it goes back to what you said. How did I get from where I started to where I am by connecting with people? I mean, like I will not find my tribe, whatever that may be, if my music is only sat on my hard drive in my house. You know, and no one else hears it. It is really important to connect with people. It's really important to be out in the world, in my opinion. These are all in my opinion. And on top of that, aside from like the outward thing of like I'm throwing stuff out there, it's important to look at the world and see, oh, who is in my who which other artists are out there where I'm in their tribe. Because like if like you see someone else, you go, oh, I like what they're doing, and you're in their tribe, you like it, well, there's a chance that they could be in your tribe as well, and the people who listen to their music might be in your tribe as well. So if you can find things in the world that are interesting to you as a musician yourself, then there are connections that can be built there, and there are new opportunities that can be found there, I think. But I would definitely say, I mean, like just those five areas of, I just said gaming. So like the gaming industry, the TV guys, the film guys, as in the feature film guys, the radio guys, and the advertising guys. It's not easy because everybody is trying to go in this direction. I understand that. But as I have found from doing my research and also contacting people, you'd be amazed. What people have told me is that, like, if you can write a good email, a decent email, and it makes sense and you're not talking nonsense and you're actually sending good music, you'd be surprised how much ahead of other people that puts you, because there's so many people who are sending music is not great, they are not communicating well with anybody. And when someone who is a gatekeeper, someone who can allow you to, who says, oh, please come and work with our company or whatever, when they receive an email from you which makes sense, the music is good, it's well presented, you've thought about what you're doing before approaching them, you've thought about them and done the research about them before you approach them, you're not just contacting someone randomly without doing the work, it means a lot to them. It's a very simple thing, but for them it's like, wow, this person actually cares and has done some work beforehand. So I think everybody should look in these other areas of, you should do the thing. If you want to be an artist and release music, do so. But like now, I just think you have to be careful of like the information that the world is throwing around you all the time, because at the moment, everything is pointed towards playlists. So you have to get on this particular playlist that's got 100,000 people on it, and then you have to get on it, and this is the only way you can make a living as a musician. But I don't believe this is true. I think this is just what we are being told, and everybody like sheep are going just in this direction, and it's like there are all these other directions that we should be exploring as well.
I would like to, thanks. I would like to go back to Don's question about music. What I also observed and noticed that, we're basically talking about rhythmical music anyway, and the urbanator thing is a rhythm, basically, an approach to rhythm and so on. What I realized that the European feel of rhythm makes you stiff, and the American, which we are doing, you and so, makes you cool, makes you chill somehow. I really realized this somehow because they're great European songs, and sometimes I feel something bothers me. It's too perfect, too good, too stiff. And then when I hear going back to beginning of jazz to 20s, which I'm now sort of fan of this music. I'm listening 20s and 30s now, and really realize how great musicianship and musicians were there. Makes me feel loose, makes me feel good, and that's I think that's very important.
I think some practical, excuse me, some practical things that I would say to people from me. I'll just give you my experience. So some of the things that I'm doing at the moment, yeah, this is like going to get a bit deeper, is I understand that music, I'm not a musician, I'm a human being, first and foremost. And I have a certain period of time, what I call my life force, which we all have, a certain period of time where you have life in you. And each of us always has choice. That's one of the most important things I think I'd love to share with everybody, so that I hope that people can internalize, understand, is that you always have choice. Even if you don't like the choices in front of you, you still have choice. So then it's up to me as a person to choose how I use my life force, how do I use my time. So my thinking then is that if I decide that I'm passionate about music and that's how I want to make my living, that's how I want to make a contribution to the world, so that I give something, they hear it, they like it, the world around me likes it, and they contribute back to me, whether that's money, whether that's opportunities, whatever it is. It's important that I set up my life as a human being correctly, so I can do that goal, I can hit that goal. So that means things like sleep. Like, I know it sounds like a basic thing, but like making sure that I get enough sleep, that I am able to wake up in the morning and I have this goal that I want my music to do this, or I want to achieve this, and I have all the possible energy I possibly can to put myself in that direction. Also, like that I am doing regularly, on a daily basis, I'm looking at my thoughts and how I'm thinking and what my plans are. I am looking at the 600 thoughts that are going in my head and going, which are the 10 that are really important? And the other 550, let's just remove that stuff. And today, instead of me trying to do the 10 things, let me just try and do 3, but do 3 really well. And then tomorrow, let me do another 3 really well. And these kinds of things, which are nothing to do with practicing scales or singing, but these things are the things that it doesn't matter whether you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a musician, you want to be anything. You need to have these basic disciplines and skills to be able to achieve your goals. So I think that's something which, as much as it's important to look at music, it's important to have those skills. Then it's having a clarity of your goal. So I would say, if I say to all you guys, I'm going to invite you after COVID to come to my place in England and come and have a party with me. Is that all good? You say, yeah, sure, Zan. I say, okay, well, I'll see you on April 22nd. You go, okay, Zan. You say, well, where are we going to go? I say, oh, come to England. You'll say to me, England? Yes, that's good, but where in England? And I say, come to London. I'm in London, and you're London, England. You say, where in London? And you say, I say, West London. Where in West London? And I give you my address. And you have to have, for you to get to your goal, it's very important to have a really clear address. You can't be like, well, I want to be a musician. This is like, I want to go to England. It's just, what does that mean? What kind of musician do you want to be? Where do you want to play? I see myself on this kind of stage, at this kind of place. I want to do it by this time. I'm working on this for the first 3 months. You know, you have clarity, and these are the things that help you achieve something, as opposed to just saying, I want to be a musician. It's not enough. So that would be my thing, is like, have a clear goal of what you want to do, be authentic, know what it is you really want to do. Don't do some, excuse my French, bullshit that you just think this will make you money or whatever else. It's important to make money because it's an important part of our lives, but it would be much better to make money doing something you love or something you feel passionate and authentic about. So I think the job then is find something you're authentic about, and then find out how can this be of value to other people, because that's how you make the money. Now people always, I think I've done it, you get the order the wrong way around. I want to make some money and therefore I'll do this. It's like, no, I'm going to do this because I love it. And then it's like, how is this important and of value? How is this serving other people? And if it serves other people, they'll help you out. Even if they don't give you money, they'll be like, well, hey, I can connect you with this person. I can do this. Hey, how about you do this advert or whatever it is? It opens doors. But it needs to be of value to other people, and you need to connect with other people.
Well said.
Absolutely. So it's almost like have a crystal clear vision about who you want to be.
Yes, I think it's very important to have a clear definition. You need to have a clear address of where you're going, what it is you're trying to achieve.
Right.
This can be also clear dream.
Yes.
dreams are realizing, no matter what anybody will say. You have right dreams, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I can see Michael Wróblewski also willing to join this conversation. Michael. No.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got myself a new mic and I cannot, and I don't know it yet.
Must be doing well.
What I wanted to ask you, Xan, I mean, not really ask, but rather maybe add to what you said, because having a clear goal is one thing, and it's really basic. But on the other hand, having enough self-awareness, and I mean, it's maybe the word is too big, awareness, whatever. But knowing yourself and knowing your value is the other thing. It's like I'm going through this probably very similar things as I can hear in a musician's life, and there's also your value that you have to see that other people see in you. There's also this other thing that you might not consider yourself this and that, or you might have the other self image, and other image of your self value than the people around you. And it just sometimes happens that the skills that you wouldn't consider your unique selling point or whatever, or you wouldn't consider your highest value, are the most necessary, or just the most when it goes together, you got a success, because you got a personal success when you do the things you really love, like you put on the first place in your priority list, let's say, of goals, if you have one, or if you know. But then what if the world, the so-called outside world, the people, the people, that your environment, what if they need a different thing that you want to deliver? Also, that's what I'm saying. And then life writes a script. Life writes a script for you anyway, because we as personalities are a part of this world. So it's not, we create this to a certain degree, but we are, you know what I mean. But
is it not like, Michael, when you create your vision, because I'm pretty much with what Xan said, like you have your vision, and then people will look at you and they will, okay, they're gonna have their own image about you, but then those which like that image about you will join you, will be your audience, will be your tribe that wants to listen to you, and so on. So then, because I truly believe that we have our life in our hands. Okay, I can get out. They're gonna hit me because we have a lot of snow in Poland at the moment. In Krakow at the moment. Okay, that is given, possible. But then, if like what you said, Xan, when you actually say, okay, this is me, and this is 100% me, this is what I am giving to you guys, you will. There's so many people around the world, and they will find you, especially in digital era. So I'm just thinking, like, should we really, as a musician and so artists in general, be worried about it, or more like being 100% crystal clear and voice that out and just shout it, hey guys, this is me, this is what I'm giving to you, and then say words, hug me, love me, or just find another artist?
I mean, Mike, go on, Michal.
I'll just make it quick. Go on. Speaking me. Okay. So yes, it is. As I said, for me, it's also basic. It's also a basic thing to know what your goal is. But I mean, you are a multi-talented person, Xantone. You are like, you can sing. You can, maybe for you nowadays, you can compose. You can sing. Like Stevie Wonder wouldn't be ashamed.
Okay.
I mean, it's a huge. I'm just saying in general. You have a beautiful, really world-class voice, man.
Thank you.
You write great songs. I also know it. I know your album, and so on and so on. You have and you can sing, dance, you can also present yourself, probably you can deliver a presentation, probably you can, with what you're doing right now, and probably you can do like hundreds of things, right? If you list your talents. And what I was saying is like maybe not so general, like not about the philosophy of life or self-image in general, but I'd rather say like maybe now this talent and this skill is valuable. Maybe the other times, when you can deliver all of your talents at the same time and make, I just believe it's just a narrow, these are moments, and life would just want to make you like piano lessons right now, or want to make you I don't know, at the other time produce beats or write something for a band or whatever. These are like all different kinds of and what I wanted to say is like, at this time maybe you want to give us a talk, right? And on the other and it's also driven by the demand of people, right?
It is partially driven by demand, but like I think that my feeling though is that you always have choice to decide what you want to spend your life force on. I know I keep saying this thing of life force and it sounds like, oh my god, it's massive, but I really, 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 really mean this. Like the thing of like life force is that I will never get the 10 seconds that I've just spent with you guys. I will never get those 10 seconds again. They will never, ever, ever come back. That life force is spent. So for me, it is essentially vital. I'm 46 now, so I'm still relatively young, but it's essentially vital that every second of my life force that I'm spending, as much as I can, because I'm human, that I am self-aware and I'm thinking, is this how I want to spend my life force? And that doesn't mean, for me, when I look at it from that point of view, it means that everything is valid. If I want to go and murder someone, that is completely valid. But the question is, to me, is that how I want to spend my life force? And the consequences that are likely to come after that, is that how I want to spend my life force? So it's a valid choice, I could go and do it. But my thing is like, we all have choice if you're awake and you choose to look at it. And I'd rather choose to spend the life force, the limited thing that I have, and use it for things that are serving me so that I can serve other people as time goes on. The other thing I'll throw in actually, which Manu and I talked about this morning, which is a really important part of becoming successful, is luck. Now, for me, the thing to throw in about this is like, I remember hearing this from Oprah Winfrey, and her definition was luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So, in a way, when I say that you have to be connecting with the world all the time, you are creating your own luck by connecting with people all the time. Because if you've done the preparation, or you continue to do the preparation, and the preparation, which I've learned in the last 3 months, breaking into a new career as a composer and going into these new industries, what I've learned is research is a superpower. That's the thing that I didn't realize before. But researching things and knowing who it is you're going to contact, researching them, just going on YouTube and seeing their videos and seeing their interviews, all this kind of stuff, that is all preparation. So it means that when you meet the person, or you send something to the person, or a situation appears where, for whatever reason, you are given an opportunity, you are prepared. So luck is a major part of it, but you won't be lucky if you're not prepared. It's about as simple as that. So my thing is like, you have the clarity of goals, you have this direction, you cannot control that completely because there are all the other external factors in the world that affect things. But at least you can control yourself, and you go, this is my goal, this is it, intensity, I'm intense on this is it, I wake up in the morning, this is it, tomorrow morning, this is it. And I do the preparation, and it's like when the person turns up. I remember Bill Evans, I read Bill Evans's autobiography, and he said his feeling was that he was just going to practice and make sure he was prepared, so that someone one day could just open a cupboard and he'd be in there practicing, and they'd be like, you're the guy we want, and he'd be like, yep, I'm ready. So it's that thing of like Preparation. I really believe it's important to be authentic, to really love what it is you're doing, and as a result of that, prepare yourself in that direction, hang in there through the tough spots, because there will always be tough spots, and put yourself out in the world and connect with as many people as you can whose energy works with you. Don't connect with a-holes, like connect with people who you feel a connection with. And even if you come across someone who you feel is an a-hole, try and see it from their point of view and try and learn something. I think that's another interesting. Try and see a different point of view, like a Wayne Shorter thing of someone coming on the tour bus and saying, "Oh, this guy did this and this happened and da da da," and Wayne Shorter's only answer was, "What did you learn from that?" That's it, So that's my feeling about it: is have a very definite goal and connect with people and be prepared. That's all I'm doing. That's what I'm doing anyway.
So you said it's like being prepared to catch your luck.
Yeah, because it's like preparation and opportunity. Like, yes, I'll give you something which is relevant. Like yesterday, I had to do a lot of admin. I enjoyed doing the admin because I was like, this is serving my life. This is what I need to do. So I'd created a new piece of music, which was 60 seconds long, because I'd done the research and I knew that the advertising world, their music is 60 seconds to 30 seconds. So there's a good reason I've gone in this direction, because it means that I don't have to sit there for weeks working on a piece of music. I can get short pieces of music together which can be of service to someone else, and I can earn something from this. So and music that I like, I can do it whichever way I want. So I did this piece of music, I finished the piece of music, and then I said, right, I need to create a playlist. And before Christmas, I had sat down with a lot of my songs and chopped them. I'd done edits down to 60 seconds. So I created this 60-second playlist, I did my stuff, and it took me the whole day. Well, it took me like the whole morning. I started maybe like 9. I was taking care of my kids and everything. I was cooking food and doing this. And it took me till about 1:30 to finish doing this playlist. Then when I finish the playlist, I have a list of people that I need to email who I'm building relationships with. So I emailed all these people. I got absolutely nothing back. This afternoon, I open my email. I don't even open my email. An email comes through where someone says to me, "Hey, we are looking for a piece of music. I got your email from this person. We're looking for a piece of music for the Football Association in the UK here, the FA. And do you have any piece of music that's like this?" Now, the truth is, I don't have any piece of music that's like that. But when I finish this call, I'm going to go into the studio and I'm going to go and create a piece of music that's like that. And I need to have this done by tomorrow. So if I need to work till 2 a.m. tonight, that's what it is. I'm going to sit there and create this rock track, which I've never created a rock track of that sort before, but I'll listen to it and I'll learn from it. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, sometimes you're just throwing stuff out into the world, throwing stuff out, and it's like nothing's coming back, nothing's coming back, nothing's coming back. But if you throw it out long enough, stuff will come back when you don't even expect it. So connect with the world, throw stuff out, have a clear vision, be prepared, and I think it will work. And hang in there long enough.
And are those digital tools helping you with it? Like you said a lot about email, so having this conversation, but also, is there something you would advise to use for? I mean, there were different tools back when you were starting, and now you have you're sort of starting, but in different areas. So are there any other tools that you would advise to use, like something available to everyone?
Well, for me, I've used LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has been very useful for me in being able to research people, and they have their work history. They say what they've done, who they've worked with, who they're working with now. So that tool has been very interesting to me. The other tool, man, this tool is a tool that everyone has access to, but people take for granted and don't use very often. Imagination. This is the other tool that I have really, really started using a lot. And the other thing I'd add about imagination is that I see imagination as as something that is completely within your control. But often too many times we let our imagination just like go wherever the hell it wants to go, and it's normally focused on the future. The imagination doesn't normally focus on the past because it's already happened, and we feel we're confident, it's solid, we know this, it's certain. But with the future, which we don't know, we let our imagination just run, and maybe this will happen, maybe this will be good, maybe this will be terrible. And my trick that I've been applying is that I use my imagination only for the present. I do not use my imagination for the future. I use my imagination to expand the possibilities of my present. That is my job of like, I think, no, once my mind starts going somewhere, I go, no, that is not what it is. I'm not interested in the future. I'm interested in the now. And how can I use my imagination to help my now be, to have more possibilities? So that, the reason I mention this is because creative people will sit behind the piano, will stand behind a mic, will pick up a violin, will like, sit at a computer and start producing, and they'll go, oh, I'm being creative. As soon as they step away from this thing, then they go, well, I'm not creative anymore. When it comes to doing emails, when it comes to networking or building relationships with people, suddenly they're not creative anymore. And I'm like, well, you have to be creative. So if you can't find the email address of the person who's going to help you get through this door, you have to use your creativity to work out, how the hell am I going to find this email? How am I going to hustle this person? Or how am I going to, for example, I don't know, take for example, the BBC emails. The BBC emails always be the first name of the person, dot the second name of the person, at bbc.co.uk. That is their format. You do the research, you go online, you look on Google, and that is their format. And you go, right, so anybody who I want to approach in the BBC, you go, right, it's first name, dot, second name, dot, what do you call it? And that's just creativity. That's still the same creative brain you're using to solve business problems. But I think sometimes people look at business problems, it's not creativity, music and whatever else is creativity. No, all of it is creativity. The way you dress is creativity. The way you yawn, the way you cook your food, everything, it should be using your brain, your creative brain. So I think the imagination is a really, really important tool. And then just to go and experiment with stuff.
Absolutely. So would you say that now is easier than when you were actually getting into the industry and you recorded, because you got into Sony?
Yeah, it's much easier to do it, definitely. It's more challenging in some ways, but it's much easier in other ways. Like when I first wanted to release my first single, I remember this was during vinyl. This was like 2002, and people said to me, "Oh, there are no more pressing plants, vinyl pressing plants, in the UK. They're all in Europe." They said, "Oh, you'll find," and I was like, "Really?" And there was no internet. So it was like, man, how do you find this? And by speaking to people and hanging in there, all of a sudden it was like, oh, there are some pressing plants in Italy. Someone gave me a name. I spoke to different people over time. And then I was like, okay, I'm a bit closer. Then someone said, oh, no, there's one in Manchester, which is like, oh, all of a sudden I've got one in the UK now. And then before I knew it, in the end, the place I went to do the pressing plant was in Wimbledon in London, which was like about maybe 10 miles away from me. But at the beginning, everyone said, no, there's nothing. Vinyl's dead. It's in Europe. So you have to hang in there, is my feeling. And you have to use your creativity and connect with people. Because this is my computer, but there are billions of other computers in the world. Why not connect with the other computers and ask them the question? Not just Google, but you guys. You all have experience, so why not? So actually, sorry, to go back to your question, it's easier to do it now. You can release your own music, you can put yourself out there. The problem, however, is that the volume of people out there, it's very hard to get seen because there's so many people out there. It's not even that it's very hard to get seen. There's a massive volume of people, and it's different. But I still.
Did you thought about the ways to attract those people, or certain things that you found working for you?
No, I haven't, because I think that's why I've taken a holiday from being an artist, because that doesn't actually interest me. It doesn't make my heart move anymore. I used to think it should, and it did, but the reality is, I think that's the programming that we're given. You have to be an artist, you have to be releasing an album, you have to get fans, you have to have followers, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to be on social media. It's not of interest to me. I think I'm missing something slightly with social media because it's a tool and it can be used for positivity, and there are ways that I can work out how to use it to my benefit. But I don't want to be typing on my computer doing social media.
I know you said it's something interesting, and the new term sort of appeared around is JOMO. Not sure if you've heard JOMO.
No, what's that?
Joy of missing out. Which you just said, it's like you're joyful that you don't need to be everywhere and do everything. You just keep
So
it to...
I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to try and attract people to me. I watched something which, if you guys are up for it, I think it's a great thing. It's called The Black Godfather. It's a documentary about someone called Clarence Avant, and it's on Netflix, and it's excellent. It's really, it shows you just this guy's life and the way he's impacted music, politics, film. He's worked with Lalo Schifrin. He's worked with so many people. Quincy, he's very, very good friends with Quincy Jones, etc. But anyway, the long story of that is that when I watched that thing, there are many things I learned from it, but two of the powerful things that stuck with me are one, that I like the idea of what he did, where he was behind the scenes, but he was having an influence on so many things, and he was successful. So that is why I don't need to be upfront in social media now. Like, look at me, I'm doing this, and I've done it. I've done that for years, and it bores me, and I don't want to do it. So, like, for me, I'd rather be behind the scenes, making music that like makes you shake your butt, and you're like, who the hell? I watched this movie, and there was this killer tune on there. Don't know who it was. I don't mind. I don't need to be known, so I'm cool. That's number one. And the second thing is intellectual property. This was interesting. This was really interesting from a writer's point of view. That by having copyright and intellectual property, there's a production company called producers called Jam and Lewis who are very successful and have been very successful producers for years. They produced Janet Jackson. They produced Chaka Khan. They produced everybody. They produced loads and loads of people. And when they first started off, they started off small, but they started working with this guy, Clarence Avant. After a period of time, when they became successful, what happened was, if anybody wanted to hire them to produce a song on their album, or produce for them, they would say, you have to let us write and produce at least 5 tracks on your album. And what that meant was that as they did this business strategy, they had intellectual property, royalties basically, on loads of different artists. So loads of different artists like, yeah, we want you to produce. And it's like, okay, sure, we'll produce for you, but you need to let us write 5 tracks on the album. And well, I mean, that's it. That's the end of the story. You do that. You have lots of successful artists, and you've got like 5 tracks on lots of different artists. It's you're good. you're good. You don't have to work so hard. Yeah. So I think that's an area that people should look at, is intellectual property. How can you get your tracks earning you things that how can you get your tracks earning you things basically? Absolutely. And not having to kill yourself every day or every week. How can I find a new post? How can I find a new picture that will look different? And it's like, man, enough already.
I get you, absolutely get you. I think Michael has something to add as well. You still need to turn your mic on.
Oh, Jesus. What I wanted to say about the intellectual property, right, is all those copyrights companies. I am discovering, for 2 years now, I'm discovering this world pretty on the basic level with some people who are really in charge of with some executives of these companies and so on. Yeah. And they have pretty much shown me the map of this copyright world, and the way to look at it is it's a pretty good way of a passive income, because it's people they would say all of these different things about passive income. Recently we would have the flood, or a year ago, make your business or make the money work for you when you sleep, and all this bullshit, right? All these things. And what I discovered, what I discovered is like, you can actually earn money and you earn money.
Yeah.
In the moment you are sitting to write a tune, you are earning, and you become a publisher yourself. That's one thing. For us musicians, it sounds like a fairy tale, but it's not. What I learned is like, this is the brick. This is the solid information. The moment you sit down to write, or when the music plays, you let the music play, and you just write it down. You compose, like, the moment you compose, you become a publisher yourself. You own copyrights. And that is really important for you to understand, because this shifts you up in the moment you are starting to create music. This shifts you up because this makes you feel the worth of it. Of course, when the money is there on your copyright account, or whatever, BMI, ASCAP, Zykes, or whatever, then you can feel it, and of course it changes the situation. But what is important, this is for everybody. We all react, well when we all feel well when we receive money, right? But the hard part, the flip side of it, just to learn what I learned about this, is like, is this feeling that's exactly the flip side. On the other side, the feeling when you start writing and you feel that it is worth something, that you own the rights to it. And it's like, really, in legal terms, you do, that you are a publisher yourself until you give it to somebody, which is also already like a value. And when you finish a tune, and this is already like your rights, right? And so on and so on. I don't want to. I went too much about it, but this is important, because this is about the intellectual property, passive income, and having awareness of your value as a composer.
As an artist, absolutely.
That's what I wanted to say.
It's actually, like, one other thing I'll add to that is, like, with the world we have with COVID and the lack of travel and lack of gigging, it is really important that all of us think of creative ways to make a living. It's just the reality of it. Yes, Mike, Michal.
Listen, I find this last few voices very accountant-like. I never would think like this or feel even like this. It is destroying. They would be destroying whole my life and whole music and basically everything. Basically, when I write, I feel joy. I feel fun. I can think about this later. If something happens to it, somebody say, I like it, you want to use it. I say, and I get payment, or I negotiate. Okay, it's normal in life for everybody. But as soon as I get into the musical computer, and so I would never, in 60 years of working professionally, never think this way. This bothers me.
As in what? To think of any business at the time when you're writing?
Anything, or that I wrote something and I'm going to get 10 or 100 pesos or whatever. No, no way. This is bigger value. It's me. It's not the pesos. Pesos you can get, you can trade, you can earn in different ways. But this you cannot.
Yeah.
Very strong in me. That's it.
There's great values, and I think as we're coming to almost 2 hours of the set, I didn't thought it's gonna actually be 2 hours, but it's gone so quickly, and it was absolutely amazing to listen to all the story you shared with us and advice, and I'm gonna take a lot of it. So I really wanted to say thank you to you, and just for last time, ask people if you still have some questions you were waiting until the very end to ask, or if not, then any hands up, digital hands up or video hands up. No, I think we did well.
I will have something to say after But let's wait for questions.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody who joined us, you are very important. Actually, we are doing it not for us, we're doing it for you. And we're growing this community of music, fans, lovers, musicians, etc. So give us hands up and questions, even if there is short questions or whatever.
You can also write them.
Yeah, you can also use the chat, or what I wanted to say now, our platform, urbanatordays.com, is being worked on. Stan is in charge of this, and quite soon we will have lot of new things. So I would advise everybody to look into occasionally, even without the event, just to see what's there, because there will be a lot of interesting materials and a lot of interesting things. I see Kasper Gremsky here. Kasper, can you put the mic on?
Yep. Hello.
Listen, you are the guy talked about Jam with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Repeat it. I mean, we got email. We know it's fantastic, but he's got some great ideas for our future to use it on the platform inside, and also on either Jam Kazam or whatever of interacting, playing, overdubbing. There are plans of putting tracks on the net and letting you guys overdub, making at the end of the year, making an album of Urbanator Days attendees, and also starting doing it online and offline, meaning live. Okay. Can you say a few words about what you wrote to us?
Yes. So my idea is to make something similar like game streaming, because there is something normal in game industry that people make the stream online. I made some research about Twitch platform, but I didn't know that platform before. It's focused on gamers or on game players, but they have also some kind of future like Twitch sync. It looks a little bit fancy, sweetie, something like that. So I think it's not the best way for musicians, but I'm still trying to make some to get some contact with them, because maybe they can create some other part of their platform which is dedicated for professional musicians. Something like stream, because I think the biggest problem is to make a live signal from instrument to the one place, and then from that place to the all people who are on the stream.
Okay.
You're right, and there is an app which Michael is trying out, which is Jam Kazam, which helps musicians to play together. You also can have a tech person to get the mixer right. That's one thing. And Twitch is actually a huge thing for in the industry, gaming industry, and I happen to know quite a bit about it. And what I'm saying is that if people are keen to spend loads of hours just looking at someone playing a game that they can play themselves, I'm pretty sure that there will be even more people willing to get on stream and listen to live sessions and musicians.
Collaborate and making projects not together in a studio, but overdubs across the Atlantic, etc. You know.
Sure.
Across the channel. Just today I asked Zan before we started, is it true that England is an island? because
Is it?
And also another question, Xan, remember?
Yeah.
Apparently, you have some kind of epidemic, the pandemic, and we don't have it here.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, what I wanted to say that we are growing, and we are growing as we go, and it's great to have people like Zan, like everybody here, and we will be meeting another events, and I think what's the next one, Stan? 21st of.
So exactly. So next Thursday, and if I am correct, next Thursday is 21st of Jan. We're gonna have Lenny White, a great drummer, to come
Wow.
and speak to us as well. And I'm really excited about that meeting. So we're gonna put more info about it, of course, online on the website. As Michael said, we're still building stuff. Michael wants to say something else, so I'm gonna let him.
I'm impatient. Sorry. Just we will let you know when really important stuff will be on more new stuff on the website, because
But
this
basically, get ready. It's gonna be Thursday, and we're keeping the same time. So always 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Yeah, that's basically it. You will see emails. Actually, I'm really pleased to say that we already people that signed up from December, so from the very first event. We almost have 200, like completely new registrations, and then we have over 800 people that are on emailing list from Michael. There's about 60,000 people just on Michael's Facebook. And today, even that we had 30 people on Zoom, we had another 30 on Facebook. So going up and down, but really nice that they just randomly came and watched to see. So that's actually going really good direction. I'm really pleased about it. So I think we're just gonna go more, and then tech will also catch up. We already have this Facebook we're testing. We have some things to, Facebook. I can't use the same name for that platform, but it's Urbanator community. So we are now going to be this week testing with Michael, some other people like beta testers. Then we're going to involve more people to see how it works. And then we're going to be able to post some artists on that page and just share the love, spread the info about musicians that are with Urbanator, and just carry on this great work. So Xan, once again, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Zan.
Thank you everybody. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Zan.
And I hope we'll see you soon.
Lots of
Take
love.
care, everyone.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.